Hi everybody and welcome along to Get Stuck In. So much to look back on with Cheltenham's Trials Day, good meeting at Doncaster Ferry House as well, and the small matter of the Dublin Racing Festival this week, where Ben Linfoot is going. Dan Barber, are you going?
No, sadly not. I had my fun at Cheltenham.
Yeah,
looking forward to it. 8 Grade 1s, what is not to like?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to hear from Patrick Mullins in due course, Joe Chambers in due course, so lots coming up on the show. First of all, talking about them connections, Lossiemouth was so impressive at the weekend. Where should she go next?
I know where she should go, and I know where I fear she will go, and they're not the same thing, are they? I think
if you owned her, where would you run her?
I'd have a crack at the champion, but again, I have the luxury of not owning her, so I can make comment without having to think of the sensibilities of it.
I like the luxury of owning her.
And where would you go, Niall?
Well, if I owned her, I'd run her in the mares. But I understand the argument. I totally get the argument.
Yeah, but you only need to look at the market, don't you? You've got a long odds on shot for a champion hurdle, and you're going to be a long odds on shot. But as a fan and from a sporting perspective, I see the negatives with that. I want to see Lossiemouth getting the weight, having a crack at Constitution Hill.
I agree, but it's too many options again, isn't it?
Yeah. If you did remove that, I mean, it was discussed on Racing TV, me, Lydia, and Martin on Saturday. If there is a way you can sort of dissuade, and I think just saying blanket, if you're rated above this, you probably would rob things as the likes of Honeysuckle say. But if you did say, if there's a significant gap from the top rated to the rest, say you're a stone clear of the rest, that may be a way that they could say that means, well, we feel you're so much better than them. Just to make a more competitive product, because that's what we're obsessed with. Everybody, it's all about Cheltenham from November. Well, when did it get stuck in start? November, October.
It starts in March.
Yeah,
next year.
Precisely. So if that's the obsession, the fact that we've got so many options to increase the number of odds-on shots, for me, is just a negative for the competition of it.
I think the Cheltenham Festival just has to be wary of dilution.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
You know, going forward, if it's going to thrive in future years, you don't want to be separating the best horses on too often. And with the Mares Hurdle and the Champion Hurdle, it is, to me, becoming an issue. And the Champion Hurdle is a weaker race for it, and that's not a good look. I mean, Lossiemouth, I thought she was absolutely sensational on Saturday, so professional, such a brilliant performance. It's such a shame that she isn't going to go and take on a horse like Constitution Hill at Cheltenham. That's where you want them to meet. So perhaps there can be solutions going forward in future years. I wonder if you could maybe separate the Mares programme from the Cheltenham Festival and have a showcase Mares Day in April where there's 3 Mares Grade 1s or something like that, just to...
Yeah.
Just running both then, couldn't they?
Exactly, they could run in both, and that's maybe something that can be looked at in future years, because it's just a little bit of a concern that the Champion Hurdle isn't the race it was, and that's a shame.
We need only look, last decade or so, we've had Annie Power showing that the mare's allowance can be a massive thing when you're of that ability. Lossiemouth might be as... Honeysuckle as well.
Who both won the mares first before going on to that.
So they would be going against the sort of convention. There's this belief, isn't there, that, the 4-year-olds are going into their 5-year-old season as second season horses, can struggle to make the gap, but bridge the gap, but not many have had the same level of quality she's got. We saw her in the paddock, she doesn't look like a juvenile hurdler, does she? She's got more scope than that, and there's also that belief that with a £7 allowance, it's another leg up again. I'd love them to make a decision. If they don't, I can totally see why not, but it would be great as a spectacle to have Stateman, Impere Pass, Lossiemouth lining up and having a crack at proving themselves the best 2-mile hurdler around, because at the moment it's looking like Constitution Hill will just have to gallop round again. Okay,
what's your thoughts? Do get in touch as ever, and what's your thoughts of Joe Chambers? Let's go around the yards and find out. And talking about Lossiemouth, let's bring in Joe Chambers. How impressed, first of all, were you Saturday?
Yeah, very. All the signs from the team were that she had improved, and everyone wanting to wait and give her as much time as possible before bringing her back seemed to have encouraging signs. And I know the team were pretty confident of a big run, but I think the manner of it probably impressed us more so than we were anticipating or expecting. More the professionalism as well. She locked on again a little bit at the top of the hill like she did in the Triumph last year, but she came back into Paul's hands pretty quickly. Whereas last year she got a little bit of a run them and it was pretty good to keep her contained. But God, she was pretty quick through the air and just everything. She just seems to have grown up quite a bit. So, she's pretty exciting.
I genuinely mean it when I haven't seen a horse of Willie Mullins look as well as her in years. Like when she entered the paddock, she's a big, robust girl, and she just stood out. She's gorgeous.
She's got presence without being kind of burly, you know, and she's a lovely kind of grey as well. She's kind of close on her own almost. Not quite, but she has developed a bit without getting, you know, too masculine, for want of a better phrase. But she's just very athletic, I think, as well. And you know, even saddling her up on Saturday, you know, she'd have a playful nibble and things like that. But she's just got a very good manner about her.
Yeah, I loved her. And you give me the perfect racing manager answer after I say where next, and you said the Tuesday of Cheltenham, which was helpful. Champion hurdle, mare's hurdle. Well, now it looks like it's the mare's hurdle.
It does, look, and that was the idea. Look, this year we wanted to take our time. We felt Vauban, while he was impressive in terms of what he did at Christmas time last year on his return behind Stateman, he didn't really come forward again in any of his subsequent hurdle runs. And maybe he's just a flat horse, right? Although we made a right balls of that down in Melbourne. But, you know, I think with her, we wanted to take our time. We wanted to have, you know, our plan initially was let's try and make sure she'll stay the trip at the mare's hurdle. And there's no guarantee she will, given how much speed she shows, although the way she settled on Saturday would give you encouragement for that. Go to Punchestown and go on for the Grand Hay d'Auteuil, you know, for the French champion hurdle, which was good to us with another filly. And I don't think that lacks ambition in its own right and merits its own piece of relevance, particularly for a French-bred mare to go after that. It's quite valuable to her.
Let's just pretend Constitution Hill stands on a stone. Unfortunately, misses the race. Would you be tempted?
Well, see what Paul Townend would ride first. There's no point running her in that if he's going to ride Stateman.
Would you be tempted?
I'd be tempted anyway, but I grew up as a fan of the sport, Niall, you know, and I grew up watching Forgive and Forget and Joe Dami and watching Peter Marsh's and things like that on Sports Stadium on a Saturday, so I'd love to see it. But, you know, I think the question is more, if the mare's hurdle wasn't there, you know, she'd be running the champion hurdle. So, but it's very hard, I think, this beast that we're all guilty of creating, be it owners, trainers, jockeys, media, bookmakers, etc., of 4 days in March. It's very hard to then turn around to an owner who craves Cheltenham and say you're 4 to 5 for one race and 9 or 10 to 1 for the other, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You should run in the one that you might just come third in. And
I think you've hit the nail on the head.
That's the challenge, right? You know, so that's the dilemma. And I just think for, you know, you would like to have, I know Rich and Susannah, you know, crave winners at Cheltenham, and you know, I think when you look at it through those kind of cold eyes in that regard, there's only one race to run for. But you know, it would probably take an act of God to run the champion hurdle, and that's not to say that they won't happen, but hopefully they won't for all those other connections either. But I think that's, you know, we're leaning at the mares at the moment, and I really don't see that change.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything you said. And it's probably our own fault in the sport creating that many opportunities. But we wish her well, and Honeysuckle and obviously Annie Power done the mares before going on the champion hurdle.
You know, no one was talking about her for the mares for the champion hurdle before Saturday, and I think it's in today's Racing Post, that other publication, that her best RPR wouldn't have placed in the last 10 champion hurdles or thereabouts. I have to read it again, but I think that's what I took away from it. So, you know, it's no given. It's no given that she'd be up there either, for all we want to see competition. So, but you know, when you're odds on for one race, that kind of answers your question.
Touchwood, she'll get there in one piece. It sounds like Royale Pagaille, after it's unseated the last in Cheltenham on Saturday, he's going to miss the Gold Cup at the minute.
It looks that way. We need another few days to kind of get anything definitive, if I'm honest. But he's injured his kind of right fore shoulder, if I can call it that, and it's quite inflamed. And best case scenario is he'll be back cantering in about 4 weeks' time. But it's best case scenario, and worst case scenario is he's out for the season.
Right.
But we're going to need a few more days before we're able to give anything definitive. But I think it's safe to assume Cheltenham is probably out. Right,
he's on the sidelines. Monkfish has been on the sidelines, but he's back in the Galmoyne, back in the winners' enclosure. You've had better winners, but I'd say that gives you a good kick out of that.
It gave a great kick, and it was great to see that he hasn't improved his regard for hurdles in the last few years since he last jumped them either. Look, he had plenty done, and Touchwood, you know, Willie and the team have had a clear run with him this year, and he's had a few kind of gallops away as well. But it was as much what he did kind of from the last, and what happened to the others, maybe more so than what he did perhaps. But look, the Galmoy hasn't been a wonderful trial for the Stairs Hurdle in the last few years, and but we had to get him out and we had to get him back, and our preference is to go back chasing. So, Noble Yates and Paisley Park, and even is a strong leader is Ollie
Murphy, yeah.
Him and a blinder on Saturday as well. So, that's, we kind of know what's in that race, but I think we'd love to go back chasing with him, but that will be a late decision. Touch wood, as long as he stays sound, and he has been since Thursday. But we all got a great kick out of that.
Yeah,
it's just good to see him back, and also that he hasn't lost any of his resolution either, because it would have been easy for him to duck it, I think, coming to the last where it was a little bit tight. But he got down and dirty and came up for pole at the last, which was great.
Yeah, absolutely, in attritional conditions. Right, DRF this weekend. You're heading that way. One horse. What horse is the first horse you're thinking of? Gaelic Warrior?
More than likely. I was kind of half asking to put him into Silly Isles at the weekend, but that didn't get much credence.
Yeah, that would suit him, wouldn't it? Right-handed.
Look, it's now in 25 minutes time, confirmations will close, and he'll be left in both the 2 miler and the 2 mile 5. Willie's been away, as this platform has well advertised for the last couple of weeks. So we haven't spoken about where he'll go. We've always assumed he'd go 2.5, but I think he's probably considering 2 miles as well. But I think our preference from a Cheltenham point of view is, as long as he's sound, that we'd go on the Thursday. It's a more galloping track, and I think that'll help him. And it is, it's 2 miles 1 at Leopardstown, whereas it's actually 1 mile 7 and change, I think, in the Arc at Cheltenham as well. So, there are a good few there, and on different courses. So, touch wood, he'll turn up in one of those races, and if he takes on Marine Nationale, so be it. Let the two of them have at it, and I'm sure if they both stand up and put on a great race for the public, as he and Factifile and Grange Clare West and whoever else turns up will in the 2 mile 5. So look, we're looking forward to him. We think he's probably the horse we have with the most ability at the moment. He's got his idiosyncrasies and his preferences, but he seems to be a bit more tractable, and if we can channel him the right way, you never know what might happen.
Yeah, absolutely. What else are you looking for? The joystick in the bumper, Ballystock could be well handicapped.
Joysticks in the bumper on Saturday. I think Willie has 6 left in it, so well, at least he had before confirmations today. I don't know who Patrick will ride, but I just loved his attitude at Christmas time over 2.5 in what was fairly atrocious ground. So it was also good to see Willie have a couple of bumper winners at the weekend, because my own opinion is Gordon's had the upper hand in that regard in this season, and I think whatever he runs will command a huge amount of respect. But we're looking forward to seeing him out again. He seems to have the right attitude and seems to have come out of the race well. Ballystock can probably run the 2 mile handicap hurdle. He probably needs a trip, but he might be one who, with the bit of better ground, I think will suit him, and I can see him coming forward and running well in some of the spring festivals on decent ground. Sharjah will probably run in the Arkle as well and take his chance. There's one, what's he, 50s or 66s for the Arkle at Cheltenham. It's probably the race he's going to run, and there might only be 4 or 5 runners. There's probably worse each way bets.
Yeah.
And I think that will be about it. I don't think any of the novice hurdles will get there. Chapeau de Soleil, the sore back after genuflecting and sitting down at the second, and Nace in the Lowlers. So he needs a bit of time. But Moore Park came forward and won his maiden quite well last week, so it's a bit too soon for him. And Mercury needs another couple of runs before we can see what we're doing with him as well. So there's plenty to look forward to in that regard. It's just from a timing point of view, we'll probably have about 4 or 5 this weekend, and that'll be about it.
Good stuff. Brilliant update. Thanks very much for your time, Joe. I wish you all the best this weekend, and obviously further ahead at Cheltenham as well. Thanks, Joe.
Good stuff. Cheers, Niall.
Okay, good stuff as ever from Joe Chambers. Plenty to dwell and look back on there, as we're going to look forward. Team tracker, hopefully 4 horses, 2 each, for the lads to put up, to keep an eye on. Who wants to go first?
I could have gone, I don't know about you, I could have picked 10.
Yeah, there's loads. I changed my mind a few times this morning as well. Well, I changed my mind because of Tom Simmons' horse, Isham, who was second at Sandown on Friday.
Pulled himself up and the horse
pulled himself up. And, he went 4 lengths clear, didn't he, after the last. Looked like he was going to win. Traded really short, obviously, in running, and just stopped to a walk. on the hill. We've seen that happen at Sandown a few times, but he's only gone up £2. And I just thought the way he travelled through the race, the way he jumped, I think he's a horse to keep on the right side of.
I liked him at Exeter as well. I don't think that Booth's right-handed, but he seems to jump straight.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it matters which way round he goes. And with that in mind, I think he's a handicap hurdler to keep on the right side of, considering he's only gone up 2. So Issam on Friday would be my first eye catcher.
Okay, you're first.
Well, Time Form Novice is handicapped. This isn't just being a company man, but it's worked out year in, year out. Did so last year. It was a leg up for Stage Star before winning the Turners. Ginny's Destiny, understandably, will get a lot of the attention post-race, but I thought Theatre Man ran a massively eye-catching race for going back up in trip. I think he probably wants riding handily over maybe 2 3/4, maybe the easy 3 miles of what used to be the racing post-chase. That was the first race I had in mind. He crosses the last, still in 4th. He's maybe 8 lengths down at that point. He's beaten just over 2 by a very progressive horse who is a graded performer, I'd suggest, Ginny's Destiny. And that's 3 times now this season. He looked like he's got a handicap chasing him.
Okay, second one?
Calico for Dan Skelton, who was second at Doncaster in the morning on Saturday, 11:50. And he's just really consistent. And again, he's only gone up £1. And I just think he was pestered for the lead by Funambili Savola on Saturday. And it almost got him out of a rhythm. But I thought he fought back really well to be second. And I just think if he's ridden differently, perhaps he gets a lead in a bigger field, like a Grand Annual perhaps, we might just see him get his head in front at a decent price in a big race. And I think he's still well handicapped.
Yeah, I'm thinking handicaps too, albeit he's never running one. Lucky Pass, who ran in the final race at Cheltenham Novice Hurdle, he just failed to get the better of Gidley Park. Gidley Park still looks big and raw, and he's probably the better prospect, but I was really taken by the turn of pace Lucky Pass showed to go from last to first, went a length or 2 up before he started to probably pay for those exertions up against a good one. So I like the angle of him going handicap. In his earlier form, it worked out really well as well. He tried to give a stone to Golden Ace of Jeremy Scott's, who finished second in a nickel coin to Dysart Enos. So he's got some good form. He's consistent, clearly, and I thought the change of gear that he showed would stand him in really good stead if he went for something like the Martin Pipe or the Coral Cup if he was rated high enough.
There you go. There's 4 horses to keep in the right side of, none of them trained by Willie Mullins, who had 79 winners at the weekend. Let's catch up with Patrick now. Okay, it's time now to speak to Patrick Mullins. And Patrick, before we start, Willie goes on holiday in the aeroplane, you take over the training, and the winners go through the roof. That's right, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think now the next couple of weeks will tell a lot, but I'm glad to see him back, more so because the chickens and hens and ducks that he's looking after are all in one piece. So it's good to have him back, all right.
Do you have any problems with the foxes with your chickens?
I was trying to have problems with the foxes, about 1 or 2 of the cockerels, but
yeah,
no problems.
They're noisy in the morning, aren't they? A friend of mine dropped a cockerel over my gate there a few months ago, 3 o'clock in the morning. He thought it was funny.
Yeah, I won't be sad to see the back of them, put it that way.
Yeah, right. No more about cockerels and cocks. Let's talk about horses. Ashroe Diamond. Not just a good trainer, you're an excellent jockey. She was impressive at Doncaster.
She was very good. Yep, she jumped great, settled great, which I was delighted to see. Because she has been a bit keen in the past. But look, the only horse that beat her over hurdles are Facile Vega, Ilete Tom's, Irish Point, Marine Nationale, Impari Pass and Chupu, 6 Grade 1 winning geldings. So I think her form is top class. And obviously she had the advantage of her run over Gallimar, so which probably tipped the scales in her favour. But she could do no more than she did, and I think she'll have to have a huge chance in Cheltenham.
That'll be next time I see her, yeah? 6 weeks away now, you think?
I'd imagine she'll go straight there, yeah.
Tell Willie that you get on so well where you'll keep on her?
Well, having seen Lossiemouth win a bit later, I might say.
Well, yeah, that's the.
Being on her anyway.
I was going to come to Lossiemouth in a second. She's going to take a little bit of. There'll be some race. Let's talk Lossiemouth now. Like in the paddock, she's jump bred. She was always going to be sort of better at 4, wasn't she? Physically. I said on Saturday, I thought she was the best looking filly I've seen, or best looking horse from your yard I've seen in ages. She looked a picture beforehand.
She looked great, and Niamh Roach does a great job riding her out, and Dick Dowling looks after her. Yeah, look, Willie made a conscious decision this year with the 4-year-olds from last year, the juveniles from last year, to to not race them pre-Christmas. They danced every dance last year. They went to Christmas, DRF, Cheltenham, Punchestown, Gallimar, so went on to Ortoy. So I wanted to let them strengthen up and build up, not over race them. And it didn't pay off with Gallimar so first time out, but it did with Lossiemouth.
Yeah, I love watching her the way through. He was sort of near Buckle End, the rain just lobbing away down the back, wasting no petrol whatsoever. She just seems so uncomplicated.
She does. In the Triumph Hurdle last year, she got a bit wound up and got quite keen. If she got beaten last year in Triumph Hurdle, we'd have said, well, sure, she was racing from a mile out. No wonder she got beaten. So I think you could probably upgrade her performance in the Triumph because of that. But generally, she seems to be very relaxed and very straightforward. State Man and Perry Pass, obviously, you're strong in the Champion Hurdle. We spoke to owner, obviously, connections all saying it will be the mares afterwards. But with that mares allowance, if just pretend Constitution Hill didn't turn up, you'd love to have her in the Champion Hurdle. You would. Look, a juvenile wins the Champion Hurdle once every 10 years, usually in a below par year. I don't think Constitution Hill or Stateman fall into below par, and I doubt in Pari Passi does either. Look, she obviously beat Love Envoy, but not so sleepy beat Love Envoy similarly enough. So to me, she still needs to improve an awful lot to get to that kind of level. Look, the two mares that won the Champion Hurdle recently, well, 2 of the 3, Annie Power and Honeysuckle both went to the mares hurdle and then went on Champion Hurdle. And I think with a 5-year-old, I think that's the clever thing to do. Let's rattle out a few more if we can. She had Grugy, very impressive, very, very impressive at Ferryhouse. She was. She's much better on the track than she is at home. What she did at Christmas was very, very good, and she backed it up because all the mares in behind her had solid, if not maybe spectacular form. But she definitely put herself in a different stratosphere to them. So for the mares novice, she would look one of the leading contenders there. But obviously, Fergal Ryan's mare is probably going to be difficult to beat too. Argento Boy was good. Argento Boy, locally bred by Berger Stud just on the road from us by Jukebox Jury. We had Briar Hill, who was a very laid-back horse who didn't do much. I actually wanted him to go for a 2-3 winners bumper in Limerick instead of the champion bumper. And luckily, Willie went to champion bumper with him and he won at 20-1. And this fella's a bit similar. At home, he's very laid-back, very lazy. So for him to go and win like he did was a pleasant surprise. But I think that will be his family. It's a high-class family, so he has to be one of the candidates for the champion bumper. Yasmin DeVoe is another candidate for the Cheltenham bumper, and the double green colours, mighty impressive. He was very impressive. 2-2 round Nace. The ground was dry enough. I don't think it was as soft maybe as Willie thought it was. And we got to set our own fractions in front. The first and second were upside in front all the way, more or less. Look, the horse that was second had been beaten in 3 bumpers and beaten at similar distances in the last 2 bumpers. So form is often funny sometimes. But he could only do what he did. And inside the last furlong, when I had a little peek under the bonnet, he picked up and went away. So the Crawfords are always very sweet in him and his point. Now the fact that he's done it in a bumper as well, it was probably the standout bumper performance of the year visually anyway. It's less than 6 weeks away. So you getting your national hunt chase ride? Are you getting your bumper sort of going round and round your head at night? Not yet. Like normally you like to get over the Dublin Race Festival. That tells a lot. Obviously Embassy Gardens put himself firmly into the pole position in the national hunt chase. He's qualified now after was his second run. A little bit of a concern that he ran quite keenly there last year in Albert Bartlett, but that Albert Bartlett start is a bit of a mess. It's downhill to the first. Yeah. It wants to be handy. The 4-mile chase start's very different, and I'd be hoping that'll help him settle. Nick Rocket, obviously, he's not qualified yet, so there's still a few pieces in the puzzle to slot into place before we start worrying about it anyway. We're going to speak to you in length on Friday about the DRF. We're looking forward to that. Obviously, we'll see final entries and declarations, but roughly all still on board. How's Galloping? Yeah, they're all really well. Galloping is in great form. Ruby rode and work this morning. Very happy with him. Stateman is in great form as well. Touchwood at the moment now, we have no not on the sidelines of the main players. So look, they worked this morning. They're going to have to pull out sound now in the morning, and you know yourself when you start turn a few screws, you might get a bad scope or a lame step. But as of now, we couldn't be happier.
We should tip our cap to Capodanno as well in the Cotswold. Yes, he was getting the sort of penalised runners against him. It was a good spot by Hughes to enter him there, but he's still done it well. I thought Paul Townend was very good on him. He looks to me that he's just very A to B jumping.
Yeah, look, he's quite a sharp horse. He's a difficult rider at home. He's quite leery and can whip around and do all that. So you do need to be, he takes a bit of knowing. Yeah, I think it was probably Frank's idea to head over there, so that was a good spot by him. Paul gave him a lovely ride. Like you said, he was getting all the allowances, which was the silver lining to last year being a write-off, because he just had a few little setbacks here and there, never got a clear run at it. So I think it was it was a fantastic performance when you put it in perspective with how far he got beat by Gallopin.
23 lengths, wasn't it? Yeah. Or well, there seemed to be some debate over that, but by daylight anyway. Yeah.
Now, obviously, he's come forward because that was his first run at Christmas, and he was ridden quite similarly at Christmas as he was here. Took his time, got settled, let him jump. But he is improving, and he does still have the potential to be better than his bare form.
Were you thinking he was a Grand National horse? Obviously, you didn't even enter him in the Cheltenham Gold Cup. Well, where do you think he's at? Obviously, Gallopin wouldn't have started box walking when he saw the Cotswold chase, would he?
No. Look, he ran in the Grand National last year. I'm pretty sure Danny rode him, and he ran reasonably well, but he pulled up late on. But again, he hadn't had a clear run. So he could be a Grand National horse, but then I don't know what he's going to get for the other. He's probably going to have plenty of weight now after winning the Cotswolds. So, look, it was a brilliant price to get, and we'll have to
enjoy that.
Looking too far ahead.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, what a week you've had. I hope it continues. We're looking forward to say you'll be speaking to Sport Life on Friday ahead of the DRF. We wish you well, and hopefully they all stay in one piece. Looking forward to a fantastic weekend's racing.
Super. Thanks so much, Niall.
Okay, it's now time to look ahead to the weekend. We've got the small matter of the Dublin Racing Festival, domestically the Scilly Isles at Sandown Park. Winners for the weekend, please. I'm
going to stick with an old favourite who's been on the tracker for a while, Ed Keeper. He's going for that staying handicap hurdle at Sandown. A race been won by a lot of graded horses down there. I was thinking of Safed Arrow, won it one time for Paul Nicholls. I think he'd have won at Cheltenham, Ed Keeper, had he not made a complete mess at the last. His previous form at Newbury is really strong. I think he too is on his way to graded company, and to that end, around 13-2 for that handicap hurdle on Saturday is really appealing at the minute.
Grant will be atrocious, won't it? Will he be happy?
I think he likes that. He's just a big galloping, rangy horse who'll just sort of go through anything.
Giovinco for me, Niall.
Right.
In the 140 Musselburgh on Saturday, the Frodon, obviously his handicap chase. Now he's had lots of options. This horse could have run in the time form race Dan was talking about, could have run in the Scilly Isles even, but Lucinda Russell decided to stay closer to home for novice handicap chase company, and I really like him dropping back to 2.5. Obviously he ran behind Stay Away Fay over 3 at Sandown, travelled brilliantly that day, went second, and then was just taken out of his rhythm by that French monster, Le Francais, at Kempton at Christmas. So I just think dropping back to handicap company, 2.5 miles, we're going to see the real Giovinco on Saturday.
Yeah, he went through Sandown like a very good horse, didn't he? Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Looking ahead to DRF, the one name I think we're going to reveal a bit more about, and it's partly selfish because I'm a big fan of Ginny's Destiny and think he's a solid option for the Turners as it stands. But Gaelic Warrior has the 2 entries. He's in the Irish Arkle over round 2. He's in the 2.5 mile race. I'm guessing they'll go for the latter. For me, I think it could have quite an impact on the betting because it's his first run this way around over fences, and we know that was a hole in his makeup over hurdles. It could be that he jumps straight as a gun barrel and goes off odds on in the immediate aftermath, which would be justified. But if he ruins his chance and he shows that he's still got a tendency to go that way, it might really open up that race. He's the one horse who I think this weekend more than any will give a real guide as to his Cheltenham prospects.
He'll get away with at Leopardstown where maybe Cheltenham you because when you turn down the back, the 8 fences are straight. Where Cheltenham you're always turning, so it's more. So yeah, if he fails the weekend,
it's the unknown.
I think he will. He'll definitely go right, but he'll probably get away with it. It's easier to get away with Leopardstown. Is that what I'm trying to say? What are you looking forward to apart from the Guinness?
Yeah, very much looking forward to the Guinness.
Captain Guinness now.
From my experience at the DRF, it's quite good value. I think it was €5.80 a pint.
Right.
Last time I went, so I'll report back on what the new prices are. But loads to look
responsibly and gamble responsibly at the same time.
absolutely, as always. Looking forward to loads. I mean, Marine Nationale, Factor Fail. I think the JP McManus novice hurdler, no flies on him, is the one that could shake up the Sky Bet Supreme market. He's in the
Eddie O'Grady's?
Eddie O'Grady's. He's in the 2 miler on Sunday against Ballyburn Paps.
I'd love to see Eddie O'Grady back with a real good horse.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
As a kid growing up, Blitzkrieg, Time for a Run, Sign Man.
Yeah.
Isn't he Dundee too?
Yeah.
Ill-fated.
Was Kittens. He had a good Kittens, didn't he? Not so long ago.
I don't know if he had pets. I don't know.
That's probably his last good horse. But yeah, it'd be great to see him back in the Grade 1 spotlight. And this horse could take him there because it was dead impressive at Christmas in a maiden hurdle that's often throws up a good horse, big field. And looking forward to see if he can make the next step up the ladder.
Yeah, he did look proper. Okay, we've covered a plenty on the show. Patrick Mullins will be joining us Friday in Sport and Life to go through and see the final declarations, what runs, what doesn't run, so do join us then. But I think we've covered, as I say, plenty, from kittens to chickens to cockerels. It's all been the show. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.